you have a hard copy of what I sent you, Marshall?
Right here, sir.
You want to run
What's that?
You want to run a copy? I didn't send it. I neglected to. Oh, you ran it? Cool. I wasn't thinking when I emailed it. Everybody thought it was your wonderful. You had a sticky weekend. I stayed inside. Me too. Looking worth going outside. Since if I went outside, I'd have to deal with the dogs. And I wasn't in that kind of mood. Whenever you're ready. Okay, let's call the July 14th meeting of the Planning Commission to order. Roll call, please. Here.
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 I'm going to switch things up a little bit. I'm going to move 3 in front of 2, even though I don't see anybody here for the public hearing. So I don't suppose that's going to upset anybody. Announcements. First off, Josh Maddox, our newest Planning Commission member, first official meeting, and we're supposed to have another, Councilman Caudill, but I don't see him, so I guess we'll greet him if and when he appears, or if it's this week or next time, it doesn't matter. The reason I wanted to call this first was because of the public hearing. I had asked a question of the town attorney regarding the FY 2015 budget and its validity. Apparently, although we did not get an answer last Monday, apparently an opinion has been rendered.
But we do not have that.
I don't have it. That's fine. I've listened to it. I questioned some of the logic, but that's irrelevant. We've gotten the answer we need. We've been told that, I've been apprised that we have a valid budget, at least within his opinion. So I think we're safe to continue with the meeting and keep everything going. From a clerical side, could you please, Madam Clerk, Miss Clerk, I understand that there is a memo on that. Could you forward him a copy of that memo for our records in case anybody asks for it, which I'm sure someone will. Public hearing. Let's go to the public hearing now. Open public hearing, or actually, public hearing's already open. Reopen the public hearing for the SUP at 6850 Track Court, special use permit for an in-home business. At this point in time, I'd ask anybody who wishes to speak in favor or in opposition to the permit to please come forward. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Anybody else have any other announcements?
Do we close it or do we continue it to the next town council?
No, because we're going to dispose of it.
Okay.
Our side is done. Any other announcements from anybody?
Sure.
None. Citizens' time. Seeing none. Minutes. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the minutes of the Monday, June 9th, 2014 Town Planning meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Do we have minutes for last Monday? Or is that going to be next month? Short and abbreviated as they were?
The joint public hearing?
Joint public hearing? Just throw it on next month, that's fine. Special use permit application, 6850 Track Court. Mr. Schneider.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry I was not at the joint public hearing last week. I was out of town for the 4th. This is for a home occupation. The town, by special use permit, allows home occupations. There's also multiple performance standards related to the operation of home businesses. This application does meet the standards of the ordinance, and we would recommend approval of the application. There will be specific conditions with the council's approval regarding its annual renewal and the like.
Any questions from anybody? I'm not seeing any issues with...
I'd say straightforward.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. I don't see any issues with spacing or with square footage, parking, or anything else like that. So I will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to forward with approval to the town council, SUP 2014-0609.
I second the motion.
Roll call, please.
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
All right, next thing. ARB, anything to say?
No.
Council's not here. New business. So my favorite part of the year. Election of chair and vice chair. I'll entertain nominations.
I nominate Bob Weir for chair.
Any other? Any other nominations? All in favor? Actually, roll call. So I know who's responsible for this. Aye.
Aye.
Abstain?
Aye.
Can you abstain? We did this once before.
I
think
can
we did last
abstain.
year.
I'm fine.
No, I understand that you can abstain, but we had to re-vote on.
The numbers are fine.
The numbers are fine? Okay.
The numbers are fine.
All right.
Entertain a motion for vice chair.
I thought you were going to take it out on somebody.
I nominate Ralph Ring for vice chair.
Second.
Any other nominations? Seeing none. Roll call, please.
Remember your name was on there half the time.
You know, I figured I'd give Bob a chance, though.
Right?
Aye.
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 Okay. Is there any desire to replace the ARB liaison or leave it as such?
That would be me.
No contest. No contest.
Ralph shall remain ARB liaison. Old business. Comp plan.
I have a planner report.
I was going to skip that, but okay.
Okay.
What do you got?
Well, that's my lead into my status on the comp plan. Your fall's going to be busy. We're going to have stuff
Thanks.
rocking and rolling to you pretty quickly. So we've got the Chick-fil-A that's been out there is still under review. Sheets and their site plan is still under review. Ice Rink expansion, Haymarket self-storage. Robinson's Paradise, which is the rezoning north of town. They've all been in some status of review, and they're all going to start coming before you pretty succinctly after September 1st. So there will be things shaking and moving. Parcel A1, this was the Sportsplex down in the Haymarket Industrial Park with Jumpin' Jimmy's, Next Level Sports, and the like. The landowner was given conditional occupancy for Next Level Sports. They were able to add or enclose a loading bay on the backside of the building. The landowner challenged the requirement for a site plan to be associated with that expansion in the way of a zoning determination letter. The council issued a determination letter basically saying, yes, by changing the nature of the building and the business, you are required to submit a site plan. The totality of that is one light pole because you serve the public after 5, upgrading the landscaping, and restriping the parking lot. The owner's already gone out and restriped the parking lot, but that's going to have to be reflected on the site plan that's there. After you have the right to appeal a zoning determination by the council, within 30 days of the council issuing that determination, Mr. Lombardozzi has appealed that to the BZA, and the BZA will be tentatively hearing that in September.
Do we have
It'll be the first time the
fully
BZA's
staffed
met
BZA?
in 10 years.
I'm sorry?
Do we have a fully staffed BZA?
Recently, the town attorney filled, I guess there was 2 additional positions.
Okay.
Rebecca Bear, I think, was one. Her son, I think, was also in there. Was that correct?
Cody?
Cody. And he was appointed to the BZA. There's several other folks, but there's going to be a challenge. This BZA has been stood up in at least the 10 years.
I was on the last BZA that met over in Winterham, actually,
Oh, really? Okay.
under Jack.
It's been more than 10 years, yeah.
So
more than 10 years.
that will be brought forward to the BZA.
Means we're doing
Then,
the job well.
he also went back to the council to ask that the council extend his temporary occupancy permit. He had until September to get the site plan approved, get all the improvements installed. He requested a 6-month extension. The council denied that. So he's expected to, he's still expected to have all his improvements done by September 1st. Unfortunately, he's not going to be able to meet that deadline.
There's no opportunity for him to resubmit that request for an extension, correct? Or is there,
He
is there a
can.
window?
Well, he can't. There wasn't anywhere in the ordinance that actually allowed for that action by the council. The way it was done was they simply waived or deferred the site plan requirement. He still had to fulfill it. But Mr. Lombardozzi wanted to appeal that, but we said there's no action in the ordinance related to what the council did.
Okay.
So he certainly can come back again to the council. This was under the old council when the council denied it. But unfortunately, this is something that we're seeing as a lot of these properties redevelop. I think a lot of the owners are frustrated by having to incur that cost. But we're applying the standard equally across the town, and a lot of the newer projects are also having to meet the standards. So
And that's a property that came in and got rezoned and had a finalized site plan relatively recently as far as town history goes, correct?
the parcel A1?
Yeah.
It did. There was a 2002 site plan that was completed.
Okay.
The ordinance was changed in around 2007 to allow a sportsplex use. At that time, there was a requirement for a site plan, but that requirement was not imposed on the landowner. So there was some frustration on the part of the landowner when we brought up this requirement. So it wasn't related to the tenants he had in the building today. The requirement for the site plan was due that he was enclosing now land bays and expanding the intensity of uses in the building. So that's really been the nexus for it. But nonetheless, he's requesting to go to the BZA in September, and we'll report back to you that determination. If the BZA finds in favor of the applicants, he'll be relieved of the requirement. If they find in favor of the council's determination, he has the ability to appeal to the circuit court if
Who's representing the town before the BZA?
Martin Krim.
He's going to actually do the presentation for
Correct.
the BZA? Okay.
So I'll be helping him with that. Robinson's Paradise. This was a rezoning north of town. They want to go up to, I think it was 19 lots. It's approved today. They want to go up to 26 lots, small lots, single family, much like the development that you're in, Chris. We had to update our proffer policies. So, Josh, are you familiar with proffer policies?
Not too much.
Okay. It's basically Virginia's legal extortion system. So, quid pro quo, so to speak. Where,
Say that to the camera, please.
yeah, I did. So it's true. It's commonly referred to as that. I josh at it, but essentially it's an ability for folks that want to come in and change the intensity of the use on their property. If they mitigate their impact, that impact being the cost to schools, cost to fire rescue, cost to police, the roads, any number of factors that are related to their increase in intensity, we have the ability to negotiate proffers either through cash, construction, land dedication to mitigate the impact of that. So the last time we had a proffer policy that actually associated a dollar amount per unit for different types of unit, multifamily, or not multifamily, single family, and single family attached, which is your townhouses, and basically assigned it. We had one for, I believe it was the town museum. We had some for schools, and we had some, I think, for fire rescue, I think, as well.
We combined police and fire rescue into one.
But that was based, when the council came up with that proffer guideline, it was based on the capital improvements program at the time. And it says in that memo, it will be updated with each subsequent CIP. The last time we did that was in 2007. The law in the state of Virginia also changed regarding proffer policies, and there's some larger federal, the Cato, not Cato case. It was a Cato case.
No, you're talking, God, New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Kilo.
Sorry, Cato Kilo. But it had a rippling effect in terms of proffer policies. So I met with the town attorney several weeks ago. We're going to piggyback a little bit on what Prince William County did with their new proffer policies. Long story short, when Robinson's Paradise comes to you, we expect to have a proffer policy in place with which you can associate with that. You can't require proffers. You can simply suggest the proffer policies that are there. And if they feel a more appropriate standard is appropriate, they can certainly pitch that to you as well. So, John Marshall Commons, moving to 1 mile projects. I may have mentioned this before. On the east side of town, John Marshall Commons is a single family. It's a townhome and a multifamily product. They will do a traffic circle, basically.
Still there.
It's still there. Across the parking lot. So what was a frustrating thing to us is there was a considerable amount of discussion done on that traffic circle, which would basically bring 4 lanes to the traffic circle, transition to 2 lanes into town. They've submitted a traffic study which said it worked. They went all the way to Richmond to get VDOT's blessing in Richmond, but we were left out of that conversation, even though we were very much involved in a lot of the other VDOT projects. So Holly's, I put it forward to Holly, our engineer. She's concerned about what does this do to the design of our streetscape program, especially the later phases out toward Pace West. And so she has a number of concerns related to that. I'm sorry.
Before you get off of that, I mean, as I mentioned at the last meeting, it's not like Prince William County's trip generation numbers have been bulletproof of late, and I think there are quite a number of applications that are currently before either the Planning Commission or the Board, or recently approved ones where the numbers have been called into question and, quite frankly, have been proven to be
Specious.
Yeah, that's a good word, specious. So my understanding was the methodology behind their generation numbers has already been called into question, particularly the fact that they believe it was over the last 5 years traffic has diminished on Route 55.
Correct.
So, I don't know what hours they're measuring traffic, but it's certainly not the ones that we're accustomed to seeing the traffic. So I expect that we're going to have to make a voice heard at some point in time. Do we have any plans to interact with county staff anymore, or is this thing still dead in the water?
Well, that's why I was kind of bringing it to your attention. I was Mr. Wilborn, who's a former district commissioner of Gainesville, Ed Wilburn, has, and just by way of reference, Van Meter Companies is the contract purchaser of the property. So Roy Barnett, who's Van Meter representative, along with Ed Wilburn, have been aggressively meeting with Supervisor Canlin. I'm sorry. It's my 10-year anniversary today. So maybe I'm
Congratulations.
Thanks. So met with them, met with other school board members, met with the district commissioner. I did get a call from the county staff member saying this is being advertised as a thing decided, more or less. Does the town have concerns regarding it? So
They haven't even had a public hearing at the Planning Commission yet.
they are trying to go for a September hearing. They've also reached out to the mayor wanting to meet regarding the project. The mayor in turn got in touch with me saying if I do agree to meet with them, I'd like to have you there. So I'm going to bring this back to you for a recommendation in August.
Okay.
So that I can take that to the board or to the county planning commission in September.
All right.
A couple ways to look at it. I think I'll have Holly look at the traffic study. When they scope the traffic study, the traffic consultant in the county will scope out the parameters of the study. That's pretty clear in the traffic study. So hopefully Holly will take a look and she'll be able to evaluate are these valid numbers. Does she agree based on her experience with the Streetscape project that it's based on the sound data? But a couple of things that we talked about this before, kind of knee-jerk reaction is pedestrian connectivity, getting folks into town, reciprocal service agreement, is that the right term? Where our police is the first responder within a certain radius. What does that kind of density do to our service demands? One could probably argue that with more residential, we're creating more of a critical mass to solicit our businesses, and ergo the tax rate goes up or the tax revenue goes up and can offset that. But nonetheless, that's a question that needs to be, I think, brought up. Schools is an issue. Even though they've done some recent boundary line adjustments, those capacities are only going to go through 2020.
Those capacities, the boundary adjustments do not impact the attendance area at all, not for one child for Battlefield, which is at 119% and projected to go to 133. So,
I'm sorry, Mr. Your point of just that we're at capacity already.
we're beyond capacity at Battlefield. The addition of the new high school with the currently with the proposed boundary adjustments under whatever plan you look at that's currently before the matter of some discussion at the school board. But none of those plans alleviate the overcrowding at Battlefield at all, not one child. And I think they're operating currently at something like 119% capacity, and they're projecting that prior to the 13th high school getting built, they're going to be at 133 or 143%. I'm more concerned, however, with the impact of double stacks or multifamily units on the nearby single-family large lots.
So, they had a multifamily product, and that's when it went to breaks. I came back to you a couple of months ago regarding this, and it seemed to be moving forward aggressively. I think they met with the district supervisor to put the brakes on it. Multifamily was not a desired product out there.
Neither are double stacks.
So, I thought it was a 2/2, and it'd be hard to, something visual I can explain, but if you think of a normal townhouse, where a townhouse has a 3-level townhouse has a front and a back. On the front, you have the garage on the front level. and you have two living area, 2 stories above. On the back, if you're looking at the back, it looks like the back of a townhouse, but you have some sort of egress or small room behind the garage and 2 living levels. The product that Van Meter is posing they're saying is defined as a townhouse product, townhouse condo. But how it works is if you're facing the front of the building, the garage is split in half. One side of the garage is dedicated to one townhouse unit, and the other half is dedicated to another townhouse unit. The first garage, so these units are much deeper than your typical townhouse. So when you go in, it's only 3 stories, but one garage unit or one car space would be dedicated to the first unit, which lives on top of the garage and on the 3rd floor. The other garage unit would go to basically the front, and that gentleman or whoever lived there would have 3 stories. Does that make sense? You can visualize it in your minds. So it's like a 2/2, but it's only 3 stories, and it's double-sided architecture. So one side looks like a townhouse with a garage. The other side has a front door. Looks like a front of a townhouse opening out on the veranda, but they're calling it a townhouse condo unit. So it's part of a condo association. Each of those units have value. Apparently, they've dropped the units by about, I think, 50 or 60 units. And apparently, the student generation factor is, if not equivalent, it's dropped the number of students.
Well, that was calculated under the old formula, but they just changed the formula, which increases the number for multifamily and particularly for townhouse units. I think the factor went up by almost a third.
Exactly. So that's certainly what the county level. The county staff's concern is that it's planned commercial out there.
Yep.
Even though this project has commercial up against 55 and having all the townhouses and units to the rear up against 66. It's called CEC, Community Employment Center. It's supposed to have a certain percentage of residential. The applicant's wishing the policy to basically apply to all the land between Pace West and basically Cat Harpin. And those properties, which is the Gossam properties and some other properties that are not part of this project, they're saying, well, they can build the commercial in the future. We want to basically take that percentage of residential for our project and let someone else in the future meet the rest of the standard.
And assume credit for the entire commercial area that has U.S. Tigers.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there's no commercial aspect to it.
Bottom line is county staff's not happy with it. They don't feel it's ready. The applicant's pretty aggressive in meeting all the various groups. Pete Canlin has been adamant, to his credit, that the town be involved, and maybe not be necessarily for or against, but make sure that they understood the town's concerns. So I'll come back to you in August with a formal presentation and ask for your recommendation to the County Planning Commission.
We didn't take a position on Haven, did we?
No.
We kind of blew that one off. Okay.
The Haven was a multifamily product north of the hospital. That brings up, I'm sorry, one other thing, I'm belaboring this conversation, I'm sorry. Winterham. There's a new tenant. You may have seen some contractors in the Winterham house. A cigar bar wants to go in there. Do you feel it's kind of ironic with Dr. Payne being the former owner, although the new gentleman that wants to rent it does want to put some sort of display or reference to Dr. Payne's history there. More importantly, the owners have seen a spike in demand for residential. So we're seeing a lot of spin-off from the hospital now and from some of the retail where people are wanting to live closer to the hospital, a lot of your workers that are there. Nice product north of the hospital, but you have nothing near you. You can't walk to any services. So they're seeing already a waiting list for the rental units that are above the salon and above those areas.
What difference 3 years makes.
So they're seeing about 12 deep. So they're seeing enough demand to warrant construction of the second building. So
With the elevators and everything that they left out of the original
correct.
one?
They do want to tweak some of the elevations, but they would still be within the same footprint of the original site plan.
But they're still going to have to comport with all the requirements for the enclosed elevators and all that other stuff per the
Correct.
code that they...
Well, I did talk to our building inspector, our current building inspector, and relayed to him some of the philosophy of the prior building inspector. The new owner wants to bring it up to the most current code, obviously, for their own investments. But it's a positive sign. I mean, that second building, you may not be familiar, there's a sister building to the one that's today, that's supposed to be built along Fayette. It's to be dual-sided architecture, supposed to be nice, but I think the owner wants to tweak it a little bit. That's first floor retail, second, third floor residential. But again, they're seeing a spike in demand, and those are nice units. You know, they command anywhere from $1,300 a month for a single, up to $2,100 for.
It's interesting that they've got a wait list now when they couldn't give them away when they built them.
Well, and if they could get a retail business to actually live for more than 12 or 18 months,
So
there, it wouldn't be so bad.
there is a yoga studio that's in there. If you have a chance to go by there, there's also AKT, Andy's Kitchen.
Really?
Classes there.
Yeah, Andy's Kitchen Table. It's very good. We are working on signs as a problem. We have been working on that. We have been working with them regarding signage. That's, I think, been the key thing there. So, again, I'm seeing it as a lot of the trends in the industry now are people want to kind of live, work, and play in the same space. And so I think here people are wanting to live closer to.
I'm so tired of that planner phrase, live, work, and play.
Not at the scale that we're doing a Reston Town Center or anything.
Yeah.
People want to be able to kind of live in this town atmosphere. So.
Do we need anything on the firehouse? And I forget what they're calling this development.
John Marshall Commons across the way. I've been told next week for the last month. So I did finally get a call from Ron Schools, who's the gentleman that's been hired to do the engineering for it. I think there was they're a contract purchaser of the property, and they had an arrangement with the property owner that they would have to pre-lease, I think, 70% of the buildings before they would move forward with construction. So I think I have talked to the engineer. They have done work on the plan. We're hoping to see that soon.
He did the original building, right?
He did.
Okay.
The building inspector is not happy with the condition of the gray house. No one's happy with the condition of the gray house. But he's concerned that with that porch coming off, that the fence needs to be moved back. So I'm supposed to be getting him in touch with the owner to address some of that coming down. And then the one house on the corner that they want to incorporate into the plan, that's starting to deteriorate fast too, so we're trying to work with them to get that done.
Where do we stand on finalized demo of the stone house?
They have to submit the application to do it.
Great.
I've been trying to do this dance where you don't want to sabotage the deal, but at the same time it's getting worse.
Same thing
So-
with Ms. Pardo's house.
Last time when I pushed it, it was we're waiting on the phase one. What's involved? Was there asbestos? Is there oil dumping back there? Apparently that came back. It was fine. So now it's just, I think having Joe Barbo involved kind of as a tag team, and we hope to get some movement on it. I've not heard anything from the firehouse.
And if I'm not mistaken, this demolition permits need to come through the ARB
For
if a demolition permit came
Correct.
forth, the stone house.
correct. So I think what I pitched to the owner was come in with scorched earth. You may not get the reception that you'll want. So the idea of incorporating the one was the only one that was listed as a contributing resource on the property at the time, was the best structure on the lot. Of course, a couple of weeks later, the storm blew the roof off. But while all the other buildings, nothing happened to. But nonetheless, they're incorporating it. But I did tell them they will have to come through and ask for permits for each one of those buildings. But felt as long as they had a solid plan moving forward. Typically, they aren't allowed to physically demo the building until the plan is approved. So, but that'll be the ARB's discretion.
Along a similar line, where do we stand with the Pardo property since they're virtually eliminated the front yard?
So the streetscape's actually going to go around it. So if you notice,
Around it?
so what you see out here, right, if you notice out here, the streetscape, the sidewalk's right up against the back of the curb.
Yeah.
So basically, in front of that, the two properties, that one and the one on the corner, the sidewalk will be brought to the back of the curb, and then transition back to a grassy area between the back of the curb and the sidewalk once they get to.
I'm more
Madison
concerned with
Street.
where we stand on the structure.
So Ms. Pardo investigated what she wanted to turn it into a small office building. She met with a prior building inspector. They would not allow her to use the second story as an inhabitable space. They would have to increase the ceiling of it. She did not want to do that, so she more or less lost interest in revitalizing the building. Last year it was maintained. I'm not sure why it's not been maintained this year. Did talk to Holly the engineer about if the house were to come down, could the streetscape be amended so that it's a consistent sidewalk all the way across. And she stopped short of punching me in the face.
We're kind of running out of time for that. Just
Yeah, she's like, I'm sorry, what? And I said,
Yeah.
well, what about if we took the building down? She's, I'm sorry, what? So she's been,
Big windstorm came through and
Yeah.
blew it down.
so the next step with her is to reach out to her, and the idea is we want to get all this.
Attic fire.
So what's that?
Nothing.
Say Christmas
Nothing.
gallery
Don't say the word fire around here.
Okay. I mean, the only option really to have is just to mothball it, get it boarded up better than what it is, get all the weeds off of it. So,
So they've still
but-
got kids going in the back. 'Cause
yeah,
it's still not
she asked.
secured.
Yeah, she asked to. I think she probably was it 4 or 5 months ago. Asked for a demo permit to bring it down. We sent her the paperwork.
Never came
Provided
in.
us, and it never came in. So I think she's out of the country right now.
All right.
My goal is to have it addressed by Haymarket Day, so it's we polish the,
Yeah.
so to
We
speak.
know where you're going.
Okay, I'm not going to say that on public, but we'll polish those things before Haymarket Day. Sorry for the long-winded discussion there.
All right.
Did you note that in the apology in the minutes?
So,
Comp plan.
the comp plan, we're still working on the edits that you guys met with, I believe, a month ago. Mr. Chairman Weir, new Chairman Weir, sent out his
As
text.
opposed to old chairman.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I did want to explain this.
There was reference in the comp plan to the VRE, which
Page
was outdated.
67.
So we had charged Chairman Weir to update it. So
Yeah, we're going to take out, so we're updating paragraph 2, which is what this is. Paragraph 3 we were striking, correct? Similar with the paragraph on page 101?
yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, we trying to analyze what VRE is doing is a task, given that the information they make available isn't exactly, one, easy to find, and two, it conflicts depending on which page of the website you look at. Curiously, their update page for the VRE Haymarket Gainesville extension, that particular part of their website hasn't been updated in probably 6 to 8 years, which makes it rather difficult to update this section. I did pull up their both their 2040 plan and their 2015 or 2014 what do they call it? Their system plan summary that was issued in January. I think, as everybody's aware, the alternatives analysis took substantially longer than they thought it would take in 2009. And for all intents and purposes, it looks like it was completed in 2013. Although, quite frankly, I can't find a report on it. But nonetheless, the next step for them was both the engineering study and the environmental impact statement that they had to prepare based on that alternative analysis. And apparently, that went out to bid in January of this year and has not yet been fulfilled. Long and the short of it is, if you read their 2014 system plan summary, they're not anticipating construction until 2021 to 2030, somewhere in that 9-year frame. So I'm pretty comfortable with just leaving this short synopsis in there and letting it go, because from what I've heard, I suspect the actual Haymarket extension is probably dead. I've seen some alternatives where they want to run it out Balls Ford Road or up the 234 bypass instead, which probably makes more sense than build the Gainesville station where they've got it currently planned. So you're going to take care of that edit. You're going to take care of the edit on 101 to get rid of the other reference.
Correct. I apologize for the delay. The last time I went through, a lot of it was tabular changes, and we just haven't gotten through all the table changes. So the text has been easier to do.
When are we going to have
I'm going to bring it back to you, look at them in August, have that ready for you to move forward to hearing.
I'm not going to schedule a public hearing then until we get it in hand.
Okay. I forgot two other things real quick. Parking study will be ready for you in August. This was the consultant study that did. It's an interesting report. I think you'll like it. And then you see out here they're restriping the intersection to put in a turn lane. So east and westbound will have its own dedicated turn lane to go north and south.
What a novel idea.
So,
Why didn't someone think of that before?
well, this is right before we close the bridge in August.
Oh, speaking of which,
Okay.
can you confirm or disprove when they do the bridge construction, they're going to shut down Old Carolina Road, the bridge in its entirety, correct? It's not going to be one-way traffic. And the same thing when they did Harpin.
Now, Ken Harpin's going to, they have enough right-of-way to build
They have
the
enough right.
bridge.
Old Carolina is definitely going to be
Closed.
fully shut down.
Correct. Okay. Both of you guys should be getting the HOAs that you are within. If you haven't yet, you should be getting letters from VDOT about construction easements and perhaps some additional easements. Long Street Commons got a request for easement to widen the width of the bridge out here. Because they're going to be retaining walls on the side. Because over here you have the ramp that goes out, the earthen berm. They can't widen that very much. They're going to do walls, basically embankments on either side. So Long Street Commons is being asked to give some additional land for that and give temporary construction easements done on there. So I imagine all the other HOAs are going to be contacted in some capacity about it. So I'm not sure if you're involved in the leadership of your HOAs, but
Still waiting for it to, formulate and come together.
so it's still D.R. Horton doing
D.R.
it?
Horton. Anticipated date was December 2014 when we're supposed to release it back to Sherwood Forest residents, but that's worst case scenario.
Maybe ping the builder and see if they've got anything about it.
Is that going to impact anybody's yard on the backside?
No, it's almost a common area that abuts the.
Okay. It's in that buffer area.
There's an extremely steep hill. I mean, probably a
Oh, we're well aware of that.
almost 90-degree grade from the bridge and the road down to a person's backyard, and it would probably, with any slight construction mishaps, would
That's
cause
why we-
flooding on about 8 properties.
That's why we moved the path, right? To the other side?
Correct.
Okay.
And then, did you have guys? I can't remember. Did your lots on the backside actually abut? Was there a strip between the common area?
No, there was supposed to be a strip, and
Okay.
now it butts right up to the property.
Okay. Well, then hopefully they'll get some news. Okay, officially done.
Anything else? Entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.